What's up, guys? I am back again, and I am here to discuss another mock draft. But today I'm doing it differently. I'm doing a three-round Seahawks mock draft instead of a full seven. And this is for a couple reasons. First and foremost is because PFF locked the last few rounds of their mock draft, so you can only do three rounds without having the PFF Plus subscription. But I did a video recently where I did a different website and still can do a full seven-round mock draft, so that's still an option. But what I wanted to focus on today is actually doing a three-round mock draft so I can spend more time specifically talking about the players that I'm drafting. Now, there's a couple ways to look at this. We can go through the whole draft, and I've done this 6 or 7 times on this channel, so we have a ton of those. So look at the channel if you want a full seven-round mock draft, seven-round mock draft to look at, and I'll go through players in that as well, and you'll get a bunch of different hypotheticals and players to look at. But here, what I think is very good opportunity to take advantage of is that in a three-round mock, I can talk way more about these guys and give you why they are my guys here in the draft. And I'm going to talk way more in depth about them, and you can really get to understand and hone in on the guys that in the first 3 rounds, those are guys who are going to be making the biggest impact on your roster right away. So without further ado, let's get started here, and let's have a fun little mock draft, guys. So first here, this is the hypothetical where Jalen Carter and Will Anderson are both available. And if it weren't for off the field issues, Jalen Carter would be my pick here, if I'm being honest. But because of how great those off the field issues and concerns have been, I'm going with Will Anderson here. And I think that's a slam dunk home run pick. If that happened for us, that's a dream. That's a dream come true. So absolutely, I'm taking Will Anderson here in this draft. Great edge rusher. And I know we have a good edge group right now, but truthfully to me, the way that I view the draft is if you can't make room for a blue chip player like Will Anderson, then you need to change your scheme. And our scheme can fit him, and he's going to be an upgrade over both Darrell Taylor and Boye Mafe. But instead of having a strong, strong 3-man rotation there with maybe Tyreek Smith being able to get in a couple plays here and there, as a fourth guy, now you have 4 strong, capable players and 2 guys who are very good in Uchenna Nwosu and Will Anderson, with 2 really high quality rotational guys in Boye Mafe and Darrell Taylor coming in. And then Tyreek Smith can be a depth piece. I think that just improves the whole group there, and that's a great boost for our team in the pass rush department, which we needed. We have a couple good pass rushers, but you can always use more. That's the name of the game on defense nowadays. Now we get to pick 20, and this has actually never come up for me, I don't think, picking Joey Porter Jr. This guy's a great, lanky, strong, physical corner in this draft class. I don't necessarily know if he'll make it to us at pick 20, but if he did, I'd absolutely run that card in and take him to be a starting corner opposite of Tariq Woolen. He'd bring a lot more physicality at the line, and I think that's what we needed. I think Tariq Woolen did a great job of, he makes plays downfield. You see him making interceptions left and right. And sorry if you couldn't see my face here. The camera angle cuts off a little bit weird. So I moved it down. Hopefully that's better. But anyway, you see Tariq Woolen making all these interceptions, all these big plays downfield because of his speed, because of his length, because of his ability. Joey Porter Jr. isn't going to be quite that kind of player, but I think he's the perfect complement to what Tariq Woolen brings to the table. I think we've desperately needed a guy who can really press up and jam at the line of scrimmage, who can really contest guys on 3rd and short. Because I remember last year, Michael Jackson gave up a lot of 3rd down and short, 3rd down and medium conversions because he played too far off. He wasn't making enough trouble at the line of scrimmage. And so when teams weren't challenging Tariq Woolen, of course, they're trying to challenge Michael Jackson, who is considered the lesser player, of course, and they're having a lot of success over there on 3rd and short. He was an okay, solid corner, but I think this is a huge upgrade and instantly makes our defense better. Other guys I'm considering there are Miles Murphy, another edge, but not in the hypothetical that we get Will Anderson. That just crowd the room a little too much for me. Another guy I'm looking at there is a guy like Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison at wide receiver. Those who are great options to fill that wide receiver 3 need. But here we're taking, in my opinion, best player available and running that ticket in, and it fills a great need on defense and makes our team stronger as a whole. Now, pick 37. I love Deion Henley or Cyrus Torrance is a good player. There's good options. Adebore, good player as well. Good options, of course, and that's things to consider. However, what I'm going here is my personal draft crush, and that's Jack Campbell, man. I think Jack Campbell brings something to this team that we need desperately. And of course, we have an okay linebacker room for this year, but Bob Wagner's on a 1-year deal. Jordan Brooks is on a 1 year remaining on his deal. Devin Bush is on a 1-year deal. We have no one after this year that I can reliably count on. So you draft a guy that's an important need, and he is a beast. Now, Jack Campbell, I'm going to draft him, and I'm going to talk about him for a second here. Jack Campbell, he's a very solid, stout, good player. And I love this dude, and he is so talented, so good. The main qualities about him that intrigue me going into the process is that he's just so consistent on a down-to-down basis. He's a true 3-down player in this league. He is good, very good against the run, very good tackler. And he's also very good against the pass. He's a very instinctual player. He knows where to be. He knows how to find his way in the zones. And he's also 6'4.5" and almost 250 with long arms. So he can get his arms into the pass windows and break up passes easier like that because of that length that he has. And he's also a good enough athlete, as you can clearly see on tape, where he can get places and he has good enough range, and he's a very strong, agile player. And one thing I want to show you guys is to really complement that is Jack Campbell is a freak athlete. Those were my takes going into the draft process. And then he had one of the best draft athletic profile testings in the history of our sport as a linebacker. So RAS, if you haven't known about this, it's relative athletic score. And of course it is not the Bible of scouting, but it is a test of all the cumulative testing of athletic scores for players of all positions, and they rank them by position group. So this means that Jack Campbell, out of a grade of 10 maximum, being the single best prospect athletically in the history of his position since 1987 through the 2023 combine, he is a 9.98. So he is in the top handful of athletic prospects at the position since 1987, period, bar none. And so this is a test of him versus an average linebacker testing in every category. And literally every single test he did, he was in the top 21% or better. And he was in the top 10% or better in all but 3 of them. And his height, so he's 6'4.5", that is in the top 2 percentile. He's almost 250, and that's in the top 8.1 percentile. Those are all compared to the averages, over here. And you can really compare and see just how different this guy is in the way he moves. He's so explosive. And that's the thing that surprises you at his size as a top, 5 percentile if you average these out or whatever. Size guy, pure height and weight, he moves incredibly well. He moves at elite categories in all metrics here, except for the 40-yard dash. He's in the top 21 percentile still, but not quite elite. But he ran a 4.65. That's a very good time for a linebacker. That's fine. That's a fine time for a linebacker. It's not flying, of course. No, that's not crazy fast, but it's a good enough time to play linebacker well. The average time is a 4.77. He's over a tenth faster than that. That's a good player. That's a very good player. If you're in the 4.5s as a linebacker, you're like the elite speed category for linebackers. So I just really wanted to take time to dive into him because I figured there'd be some questions about this pick. He's a dog. He's a straight up dog in every single way. Great player in both run, pass, and just overall. His game is great, and he's also one of the most athletic prospects at his position since 1987. So I wanted to cover that and talk about why he's my draft crush, and hopefully you guys are feeling him too now. But great player. I think he'd be a good pick at 37. I'd love that and fill a great need for us as well. Pick 52. And so here's where I'm going to take Keanu Benton. And in my opinion, Keanu Benton, and I know there's so much talk about Mozzie Smith, about Siaka Ika, I think Keanu Benton's a more solid, reliable nose tackle than either of them. Mozzie Smith is a guy that is very highly rated right now, but I think that it's almost blown out of proportion his ability relative to Keanu Benton. I think Keanu Benton is so good. And I think Keanu Benton honestly brings more potential pass rush versatility to the table than Mozzie Smith either. Mozzie Smith has more size, but I think Keanu Benton is just a more well-rounded player, very stout against the run, and a very decent pass rusher given that he's a nose tackle. I think this is a dream pick at pick 52. A dream pick for me. So again, very similarly to how I feel about Jack Campbell, I feel about Keanu Benton as a second-round pick. He's immediately the starting nose tackle for our team, and he's a great addition there. Filling probably our biggest need, and I personally feel he's the best nose tackle in this draft. To give you some context, I feel like him and Mozzie Smith are very close to each other, but I trust Keanu Benton more on a down basis. So just hoping you guys see that overall. No, there's a lot of things here. Trent Simpson, I don't believe will be here, so I'm not even going to consider him. If he was here, I would take him in the real draft. If he was at 83, I'd double down at linebacker because that's a need that we'll have going into the future, and that would really secure our fate there. But overall, Cedric Tillman, I think, is the player I'm probably going to go with. Let me look at the board a little more. Isaiah McGuire, Hendon Hooker is an interesting prospect at quarterback coming off an injury. Could be a guy to develop. Clark Phillips is a good corner, but we got a corner earlier. There's really Sidney Brown's a good safety. Again, we are full of safeties. I'm just pointing out guys I like. Dorian Williams, I'm also okay with at this pick here because he's a really solid linebacker prospect. But like I said, what I'm going to go for is I'm going to completely secure our need at wide receiver 3, and that's Cedric Tillman to me. Cedric Tillman is a very solid, well-rounded player, bigger body. He's fast enough. He ran in the lower 4.5s, so enough, but he's a bigger frame, consistent catcher, knows how to get open, and just is a good mover and a good catcher of the football. And I think that's what we need at wide receiver 3. I think we need it pretty badly, actually. I'm also going to look at, let's see, wide receiver. Where's is Marvin Mims here? Marvin Mims is another guy that I really like at this value as well. They're both like right there for me. Keyshawn Boutte's a tier below them, in my opinion. Same with Tyler Scott. But Cedric Tillman versus Marvin Mims, I would really be okay either way. They're just two different players entirely. Marvin Mims is very explosive, high 4.3 guy. So again, those are two guys that in this pick, I would substitute either one of them. They're going to play differently than the other person. Marvin Mims is also really intriguing to me because I think that would allow Derek Young to have a better opportunity to develop into a big body role. But I think Cedric Tillman is a better player right now. So that's just my thought process there. Again, I'm okay with either one of those guys. So if you're a huge fan of one or the other here, don't crucify me. I'm simply talking about they are right there for me, right next to each other. So yeah, man, that is going to complete the 3-round mock draft. I'm going to do a quick summary here as we look over the picks as they load up here. And basically just saying, like, if you have any strong feelings, please let me know, man. Let me know in the comments here. I'd love to talk about more football in the comments. I love talking football. I love hearing your thoughts about my draft picks. Don't have to worry about the big board value. It lines up fairly well, but it's PFF specific rankings. I'm doing this more based on how I feel about players and as well as how I think teams will view them. Jack Campbell, so he's ranked like 45th as a player prospect. He's a very good player, even according to PFF and stuff. But his athletic ranking, I think, will move him up NFL boards because of his size, weight, speed, athletic agility combination. I think is so rare. You just don't see that, and so that automatically moves you up boards. Joey Porter's a great player. I think he probably goes higher than 18 even, but he's available in this mock. I'm sprinting to the line to take him again. Other guys are like there, Miles Murphy, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison at wide receiver. Those guys are very good players and would also fill that wide receiver 3 need. And then we go somewhere else at this pick. Maybe we take a Dorian Williams at linebacker. Maybe we take another defensive lineman. Maybe we take a center. If a guy like Luke Weipler falls there, there's so many options there available. And so it moves up and down. If not Will Anderson, I'm thinking Jalen Carter is probably the next best pick at 5, in my opinion, because of that interior defensive line need. And again, we do this, but you got to realize we also got, beyond these 5 picks, we have, I think, another 4 or 5, something like that, draft picks going later. We have this, and I think we got like 122, then we got 152 and 155, 198, 197, and then 237. So we have other picks to address the other needs on our team. This is just what I'm doing, and I'm going best player available because that's how great teams build rosters. You strengthen strengths, and you don't pass on elite talent when you see it. And that's what I tried to do here is both address things that can strengthen our team as well as get the best players on our roster right now. And so I hope you guys appreciate that mindset, and that's what I'm doing here. And I know needs need to be addressed, but I think this has a good balance there, and I think there's good depth pieces at both interior D-line, at guard, interior offensive line. I like some of the depth there. So those needs can also be addressed later in the draft. And so I don't think we need to be as freaked out. Running back can also be addressed later in the draft. That's where you get the sweet value on running backs anyways. Rounds, I'd say anywhere from 3 to 7, you get good value in running backs there because there's still strong backups / decent starting running back caliber players going in the day 3 range for running back. So that's my full rant there. Please tell me your thoughts in the comments. I love to have these discussions with you guys. I love looking to these players and hearing out your side of the story, who you like, who you don't like. And yeah, if you have any specific requests, I want to get into doing some player profiling specifically going into this last few weeks before the draft. So please drop names you want me to look into the comments, and I'll do a profile on them, and we can all make a little good draft community here in Seahawks fan community. If you're into other types of videos, I just talk some random ball. I did some NFL tier lists that I'm working on pushing out. I'm going to do a full round 1 mock draft with every team included, so we can do some different discussions and variables here. But please like and subscribe. If you made it here, you're a stud, you're a champion. I love to see it. Please let me know if you watched the whole video, because that means a lot to me. But anyway, please like and subscribe, and I'll have to talk to you guys later. Anyway, peace.